developing your game for the future. I think it's really important that as a developing player, you always have that sort of bigger picture, longer term focus, and you're always having that awareness of, what do I need to be doing? What does this shot need to look like? What does my quality of ball need to be in the future if I'm going to be the best I can be, if I'm going to achieve my goals, if I'm going to be more successful? And I think too often we don't put enough emphasis on just that. An example might be if you're an extremely aggressive player that has a really big forehand and you want to build your game around that forehand, and that's going to be the weapon, then it's important that you are not afraid to hit it. You've got to go for it, and you can't be fearful of missing or losing because you're going for it. And in some cases you might lose some practice matches, some tournament matches, because you just overcooked it a little bit, you went too big, but you're developing that. And whenever you're developing something, it's always going to take time. There's always going to be a certain balance between the winning and the losing because of the development part. And I think it's very important that we work on and we continue to encourage the building part. I've always believed that it's important that when you practice, that you should hit the ball harder than when you play a match. That you should always be trying to go that little bit bigger on the short ball, that little bit deeper on the cross-court backhand, and so on, as examples, that you just get more on the ball. Not be afraid to miss, because that way you're building, you're keeping the quality, the ball speed, everything fairly high. So then when you feel a little bit of stress or pressure in the match, and naturally you're just going to back off a little bit, it's still going to be big enough, it's still going to have enough quality, because you've spent a lot of time on the practice court building, going for a little bit more, challenge yourself and pushing the level or the quality of shot. And I think young developing players need to do that more as well. And certainly for me, there was a few different occasions where I've seen players have lost a match because they went for too much on a shot in a junior event or something like that. And I told them afterwards, I said, you know what, it was the right shot to go for, and you went for it big and you missed it, so that's okay. It was the right thing to do, and for the future you've got to be able to hit that shot the same way that you stepped up and with the same intention that you actually had. And then just hopefully you've got to make that shot at that quality more often. So it's more about then putting the focus on improving the execution at that speed. So it comes down to focus, concentration, footwork, balance, positioning, those things. But the shot selection and the going big, that was the right thing to do. So hey, keep doing it. Keep hitting it until you figure out how to put it in, because that's what you're going to need to do, and that's what your game is going to be built around. And I think too often we don't do that. We push the ball in the court, so we win that match, but we lose sight of the bigger picture. So I think it's very important, and I think we have to have a real awareness and always be thinking about, are we developing, building for the future? And it goes for different game styles as well. If you're more of a counterpuncher or more of a defensive-minded player, it's still relevant. You've still got to get that quality on the ball. Maybe challenge yourself to hit a little bit better quality of shot from further out in the court. Or if it's a counterpuncher style, to get a little bit more dip on your passing shot when you're on the run and things like that. You've always got to be looking at improving, increasing the quality of what you're doing. And especially in practice, I think it's really important to just go for that little bit more and challenge yourself, get that quality up a little bit higher, and over time that also becomes a habit and it will transfer to the match court. So always keep one eye on the now and one eye on, are you developing your game for the future?